Welcome to my new Scan ToolKit plugin. The plugin has been designed to help us get to a starting point when we want to start on the main edit of the scan negative. This is a plugin that I created for my own personal use, but after doing some online training for Photoshop, people have seen it and I have been asked if I will be releasing it for the public to download. So this is the final version that I've come up with. As I say, it's a very small plugin and it has some specific uses in mind. So the idea behind the plugin is we bring the negative into Photoshop and then we can use the tools within the plugin to get us to what I call the starting point. It's been designed to work from the top, so we work in this kind of an order. We come down each row and this is the workflow for the plugin. Only a few steps to take. So let me quickly show you how I use it, and then you can ascertain whether it's something that you may think that you'll be able to adapt to your own workflow. I'll just start by docking this to the top so we've got more room to work with. So this is a typical negative which I've scanned, and recently I've been using my DSLR camera to scan my negatives. So I brought this into Photoshop. It is the wrong way around, and this is where we start with the tools at the top. So we've got rotate to the left and rotate to the right. These do exactly what you would expect. They rotate the image. Then we've got flip the image, so we can flip it vertically and horizontally. So if I want to change that to the orientation it should be, I can use that one. And if I need to crop the image because I may have caught some of the film edges in from the film holder, I can actually do that by selecting the crop tool. So once I've got the image the correct orientation and it's cropped to how I want it, now I move down to the next part of the workflow, which is to convert this from a negative to positive. So I'll select that. We've now got a positive version. We can see that the image is relatively flat, it's low in contrast. And if I just expand the window, we can see the histogram is showing us that we've got very little, if nothing, in the shadows and in the highlights. Everything's in the midtones. And there's a reason for that, is that when I scan my negatives, I don't use the expose to the right method. I know a lot of people like to expose to the right when they're scanning. It's not something that I do. I do have my own reservations as to why I feel this is not a good method for using the DSLR scanning system. What I like to do is I like to ensure that I'm capturing the entire tonal range of that negative. So I want to make sure that every bit of detail that's in the negative, I'm going to be bringing it through into this digital file. So having turned it into a positive, now I've got to remap these tones. I've got to get the blacks to where they should be, and I've got to get the whites to where they should be. And because it's a linear based workflow, everything else will fall into place. And this is what I use the remap tones for. So I'm going to select that, and what actually happens is it creates a new group and it's now remapped these tones. So how it does this, it actually evaluates the negative and it evaluates it along all the axes, so that's the vertical and the horizontal axis, and it's looking to see where all the tones are. And then once it's collected that information, it knows how to remap these in accordance with the actual negative itself. Now I know some people would say, well, yes, you can actually use the auto tones method that's built into Photoshop. Well, yes, you can, but I'm going to show you why I don't particularly like that method. I'm going to disable this remap tone. I'm going to just duplicate this layer so I can throw it away in a moment. And now I'm going to go to the Photoshop, which you can't see, it's off screen. It's under Image and Auto Tone. And that's what the Auto Tone does. We've got a much more contrasty image. It's a lot more punchy. But the problem I find with it is we've now got clipped information in the highlights and we've got clipped information in the shadows. I find this method a little bit aggressive. There's nothing wrong with having clipped highlights and there's nothing wrong with having clipped blacks. Personally, I don't think we should have them this early on in the workflow. It's something that we probably want to introduce at a later stage. So that's why I don't like using the auto tones method, because it's giving me information already which I can do nothing about later on. I've already lost that information. So let me just delete that layer, come back to my Remap Tones. So what I've got now is I've got a negative where it's already been analysed and the blacks are being put where they should be and the whites are being put where they should be. I like to build up contrast in a gradual process. I always see this like painting an image. We build it up in layers. So each layer that we add, we're adding some subtle changes to the overall look. I don't want to go in and add all this contrast straight away, because it's just going to make it more difficult later on for me to remove areas which have gone wrong. In this case, we had clipped blacks and clipped whites if we'd used the auto tone method. So that's the Remap Tones. Sometimes, but not necessarily in this image, we do tend to lose luminosity in the midtones, and that's what the lift midtones option does. This image doesn't particularly need it, but I'll show you what the effect is going to give us. So this will brighten up just the midtones, and it gives us that extra luminosity which we may have lost during the other processes. As I say, I don't think this particular image is going to need it, but I'll leave it on anyway. And then that brings us to the next stage, which is the stamp visible stage. So to recap what we've got now, we've got the original scan, we've converted it from negative to positive. We've analysed the image and remapped the tones. And for sake of demonstration, I've got the brighten or the lift midtones layer in as well. Now the stamp visible, for those that are not familiar with this feature, what it's going to do, it's going to take all these layers and it's going to merge them into a single layer. Could we flatten the image? Yes, we could flatten the image, but the danger behind doing that is that we're going to lose all this information. So I like to work in a non-destructive way as far up the layer stack as I can. By introducing a stamp visible layer, and I'll show you what that does. Let's choose stamp visible. We can see that we've got a layer which comprises of all these three layers. I can keep these in place, so if I need to come back at a later stage, I always call this like an exit strategy. It allows me to backtrack down the layer stack to a point where I've gone through all the effort of creating the mid-tones and remapping the tones. I don't have to do that again. So that's the stamp visible. It actually names the layer to the start of the main edit. So we're virtually getting to the point now where we're going to be starting the main edit. The final two buttons are quite self-explanatory. It's going to convert it into a grayscale working mode or an RGB working mode, and that's a personal preference. At the minute we're working in the RGB mode, and we can see that because we can see the red, the green and the blue channel. The disadvantage of that to me is that if I'm working on a grayscale image, by having the red, the green and the blue, it's just going to increase the file size. Unless I'm going to be toning the image, in which case I'd need to stay in RGB, or at least come back to RGB later on. If I don't have any plans to tone the image at this stage, I'll just go to grayscale, and that will remove those channels that we no longer need, and it will reduce the size of the file. If at a later stage I decide that I want to retone the image, then I can always come back to RGB. It's not a big problem. We're now at the beginning of this edit, and we've gone through the process or the workflow of this small Scan ToolKit Photoshop plugin. So that's how I use it. That's what it was made for. just gets me to a starting point for the edit in a very quick and efficient way. So if it's a plugin that you may feel that would benefit your own workflow, I will leave a link to where you can obtain it from in the description of this video. So until next time, thank you for watching, and as always, bye for now.